Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Virgo October 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant, and I've done a number of readings for many of you over the course of the last month, haven't I? And you know who you are. Clairvoyant readings, that is, and if you might be interested in a clairvoyant reading or some information about it, just check out the information that's in the description. Now, separately, I've also done a number of healings for people from all different countries around the world. Now, my sole contract is with respect to the spiritual gift of healing that I must provide it, but I can get nothing in return. So healing is provided for free, no obligation, no strings attached. No, nothing will be sold or recommended to you. So if you or someone that you know is interested in a healing, then check the information that's in the description as well. Now, it's great to see the subscribers. I always look forward to seeing you. Thank you for inviting me into your home. It's good to catch up with you. Now, we're going to take 5 cards. That's all we need. We don't just spend 5 seconds on them, do we? They talk a lot to us, these cards. And you also know there is the 9 of Swords. You also know that there are no video advertisements breaking their way into this content. There's the Magician. So you get to enjoy the experience of the reading uninterrupted by video ads and competing voices. What is there? There is the 2 of Cups in the center. Here is the 5 of Cups, interestingly so. And finally, what do we have here? This doesn't mean to say that this is going to be the last card read, whatever it is. It depends on how they're interacting with one another and what the energies are. So let's see what there is here, shall we? And that is the 4 of Swords. Well, why don't you now come down, sit down here next to me. You and I will have a good close look at the artwork on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Okay, well, there's some ruminating thoughts coming with you and maybe some disappointment and a few tears, inwardly or outwardly. Don't worry about tears. Tears water the garden of your heart. But you get time out from it, you recuperate, you then start being very creative, and you find what can only be called bliss. Now, these 2 energies here are really running over the top of each other, so I might look at them side by side, because I think what I have to say about them, just think about the energy of each, is going to mean that they really should be looked at together. And let's look at this first one on the left first, which is the 9 of Swords. Now, the astrology of the 9 of Swords, now they're both Mars here, incidentally, coming into it. I can see from this way they're positioned. This 9 of Swords is Mars in the 2nd decan of Gemini, the 1st to the 11th of June. Now, the one-pointed nature of Mars does not sit well with the very scattered energy of Gemini. And the number 9 I also have associated mystically with the moon. So there may be some things that are deep inside of you, maybe things from your past. It could be from a time of childhood. It could be from a time of relationships that you've had or events that have occurred, things that people have said. And I think what's happening also here is that with the number of 9, well, in numerology, the number 9 represents the cycle of returns. This loop with the swords, in the suit of Swords, sort of turns into a negative thought loop. And this can also come out in the emotions, because this suit of Cups is emotions. Now, just before I get to this one here, you'll find that there is probably a cruelty to yourself, a self-accusation, punishing yourself, a passive resistance to something or other. And then we have this 5 of Cups, and the 5 is also associated with Mars. This time it's in the 1st decan of Scorpio, but the number 5 has the planet of Mars associated with it mystically for me. So with the double fiery energy of a double Mars, what happens is is that I think, although Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, because there is this double dose of Mars, then the extra fire tends to evaporate the waters here of the Suit of Cups. So perhaps there's been some unfulfilled expectation, a loss of sense of balance, problematic relationships, and an unexpected disturbance. Now, well, I won't say into it now, but perhaps your expectations about something were too big. Some unexpected event, perhaps. Maybe only a thoughtless reaction ruined them. But the aggressively destructive energies now dominating this scene have, I think, probably been smouldering beneath the surface for a long time. You've overlooked them, and they may be in your subconscious from this Nine of Swords. They've been... You overlooked them, maybe because you didn't want to admit to their existence. You ignored the warnings of your inner voice, but now you have to face the sobering facts and look them in the eye. And, also we feel disappointment at this time, don't we? But remember that every disappointment contains within it the possibility of an important learning experience. And I think that what's happening here is that this energy here is feeding into this, and you're thinking about things. You're going over and over and over in your mind. This is feeding into that. That's why I'm putting them together. And well, let's pull them out a bit now so I can talk about them. And so what happens is that these thoughts that you have about disappointment or about things in the past or problems that you have, maybe even guilt about something you have done, they come late at night, don't they, when you are feeling the most vulnerable. Guilt, worry, anxiety, sorrow, suffering, they torture you, leaving you alone, locked in your personal prison where loneliness prevails. The inner demons come and feed upon you. Now, you, with respect, I think, have created your personal dungeon. All the negative actions or thoughts you have suppressed and avoided come back full circle to haunt you. These thought patterns and actions have imprisoned you in a web of circumstances where it seems impossible to free yourself. Your mind, the ego, is being tortured with no apparent escape. Remember one thing, though. You are not your body and your mind. Your body and your mind are inside of you. You are actually a soul and are everywhere. You have an incarnation here on Earth in a body. So remember, you are much bigger than everything that's going on in your life. Now, I think together these things symbolize any circumstances that trouble your heart and mind, and maybe signaling a time for retreating from the outer world as you process worry or grief or loss, or just straight out, why did that happen? This, for you now, is a time for releasing pain and cleansing your soul and heart so that healing can occur. The lost part in your heart can never be filled, but understand, if you allow yourself to be in the light of love, you will grow a new heart. Now remember that sometimes you just have to believe in yourself. Now, there is a good chance that all you have ever been told from the time that you were a little child, or made to feel in your life so far, is that you can't do anything, that every time you even dared to dream that your life could be better, you were shot down or laughed at, made to feel small, made to feel useless, made to feel like an idiot for even thinking you could be more. Now all of us, just as we thought something was in reach, have had a massive shadow of doubt thrown on us. normally by somebody close to us, and it hurts. And then you've thought of the pain to get what you want, and your brain avoids it. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is that very often we go through life and we make choices, or we do things, or we say things which we go, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I had have done that instead of this. I wish I should have gone that way instead of this way. Or I've let this person down and it's haunting me. Well, despite what you may believe, you can disappoint people and still be good enough. You can make mistakes and still be capable and talented. You can let people down and still be worthwhile and deserving of love. Now, everybody has disappointed someone that they care about. Everybody messes up, lets people down, makes mistakes, not because we are inadequate or fundamentally stupid, but because we are imperfect and fundamentally human. And expecting anything different is setting yourself up for failure. Nobody is perfect. Let go of the past. And when I say let go of the past, I mean let go of the past both as it relates to you and as it's related to other people and events with you. Now, what that means, of course, is, you see, what happens is when a bad thing happens, or when we think we've done something, or we're like a boat on the ocean, and when that thing happens, we drop an anchor. And then the boat wants to sail forward, but it gets to the point when the line becomes tight and you can't move forward, and the thing just keeps circling around and around and around. Well, what you need to do is you need to forgive yourself, and you need to forgive other people, and you need to forgive the events and life itself. Now you say, oh, forgiveness is too difficult. Well, forgiveness actually releases you. It doesn't release the person or the situation that has been forgiven. You say, but forgiveness is hard. Well, let me give you an approach which I think is useful, and it's this. Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. Now, I know that you may think that forgiveness means accepting what has happened to you. Well, I don't mean that at all. Rather, I mean it is accepting that it has happened to you. Not accepting that it was okay for it to happen, that it was right to happen, or that it should have happened. Rather, it is accepting that it has happened. And now, what do I do about it? Because the past is in the cemetery. So why keep going there and visiting things which trouble you? You see, forgiving is giving up the hope, not holding on to the hoping and wishing that it could have been any other way than it actually was. Giving up the hope that the past could be any different. And when you get that, it will take you to the next level of being a more complete person. Because you don't hold grudges for anything or any situation or any person. And when you let go, the past can't hold you in a prison cell anymore, and it can't hold you as a hostage to life anymore. Anyway, I'm sure you get through that, because you do, according to this, and the cavalry arrives, and the cavalry is in the form of Jupiter, it would be here, and it would be Jupiter in Libra. And this is the Four of Swords. And let's have a look. Well, the art is quite straightforward here, I think. But you see, when you get that, and you start to... The other thing I'll say about thoughts is this, is for every negative thought, or every disappointing thought that comes to you, every time you say, I wish I hadn't, or I wish that, or what if? With every thought, ask two questions. The first thing is this. Is this thought valuable? The next thing to say is, what is the behavior of this thought? Is this thought valuable? What is the behavior of this thought? And you will find that you move from being the victim and being judged by the thoughts to the higher ground, where you actually judge the thought and make it justify its existence in your life. And what you'll find is they become starved of oxygen and they will run off into the night. Anyway, to return to this 4 here. Now, what we have is Jupiter. Well, Jupiter, of course, is the great benefic. It's the bestower of good luck, of expansion. And what we have here is a center, and Libra here. Now, Libra tries to find balance in your life. But a need for balance can induce unrest sometimes. But this need for balance is coming in and it's coming across you. Now, Jupiter is giving you a release from that difficult time, as well as opening your higher mind's flexibility, which is needed to resolve and dispose of conflicts. And more importantly, Jupiter allows you to move on. So you become calm, centered. There's a clarity with you now, a spiritual cleansing in a sense, and there's a recuperation, there's a healing, there's agreement. You've taken a break from aggravation and these things disappear. There's an expansion in your thinking which is taking place, and you are now in control of your life. You're not being controlled by thoughts or disappointment. So it does represent, I think, the need to take a time out from stressful situation, probably process those thoughts in the way that we've just discussed now. Now, actually, any existing conflicts, well, they don't necessarily go away, but this time out from them is needed. And let's have a mental health break. And make the most of this mental health break, but don't put off anything that needs to be dealt with, which is unavoidable, because those unavoidable things can become bigger and more challenging. But trust your intuition to know when enough is enough rest for you. And make the most to be at your strongest when you need to face any issues that come to hand. Now, you have enough inner clarity, I think, now to successfully carry out your plans. Be sure at all times that you feel good about what is happening. Now, what supports or what hinders your clarity? And have a look around at your surroundings and rearrange them to support calm and centeredness, and say to yourself, I am at peace with myself. Now, sitting above that card is this Major Arcana, the Magician. Hello, Magician. What are you up to there? You look like you're at the beach or something, are you? Taking a holiday, old boy. Now, he's number 1. Well, the 1 is the number of new beginnings and opportunities. And it's also associated with Mercury. Mercury is all over here, which is highly intellectual, a diplomat, the communicator, the thing that can make things happen. And what he is the standard for communication, for thinking stuff through rationally, and for reasoning, also for adaptability and being able to handle different things. Now, the Magician is raising his right arm up into the sky, and he's clutching a wand of winter, alive, but yet to bud. Now, his left hand is pointed at the earth below. Now, he is, you see, the conduit between the spiritual and the material realms. Now, the Magician makes his goals happen in the physical realm. Now, his white robe, that stands for, I think, purity. His red cloak for worldly experience and knowledge. And on the table in front of him, as you would expect to see, are at least 3 symbols of the suits of the tarot: a cup, a pentacle, and a sword. And with these things here, with these tools, he has everything he needs to make things happen. He's got this snake, that's the Ouroboros, around his neck, and here's his infinity symbol there, both of which indicate access to unlimited potential. And this garden is blooming away, isn't it? And this is symbolizing the blossoming and the eventual fruiting of your desires. Now, because he's got Mercury all over him, what I see happening here for you is that there's going to be great level of communication with you. You'll be able to get your ideas across really well. And in fact, you'll be experimenting with all possible forms of communication. Now, there's a flexibility with you at this time, and dare I say it, even a sort of a brilliance. There's action here. Power. You have control of your life again. And you can turn your ideas and desires into reality. There's a willpower for you. Now, I must say that with this Mercury around here, you might be something of a smooth talker. And then you'll be able to get your ideas across and persuade people to do things that you want them to do. One thing I will say for the magician, though, is that he stands both for truth and for falsehood. Now, he brings all set ideas and judgments into question, which often make him appear to be, or put him in a bit of a questionable light himself. But he's very creative. And creatives, they have no conscience. He uses all tools, all methods to arrive at his goal. So use everything that's around you. The temptation to misuse his talents is, of course, great. And his ability and skill give him superiority and power. And he kinda, I think, moves on the narrow border between white and black magic. Now, this means he needs to have a constant self-examination. He's got to constantly look at himself and his motives. Because he can use his talents in a self-seeking manner, or he can use his talents in the service of love and light. You really do have at your disposal brilliant capabilities which you should share with other people. And one important task is to find or create the proper surroundings for your activities. You've got to work out in what area your talents are and play to your strengths. Minimize your weaknesses. And what methods and in what surroundings can you pass them on or share them? Visualize your ideal area of activity and describe it precisely. Write it down in a sentence. Say this to yourself. The full expression of my creative potential fulfills me and makes me happy and satisfied. I create magic when I use my inherent gifts and talent. And I honor the resources of skilled communication which are within me. And that takes us finally, I think, it's almost like we've left the best to last. And here you go. The Lord of Love. Now this is Venus in the first decan of Cancer. This is really good because Venus is the most receptive of the planets and has to do with love and beauty and creativity. And Cancer, of course, is about nurturing, comfort, support and healing. It's like a womb, actually, Cancer, which allows a fertilized egg to lie in it and grow. Now, you do realize, I hope, that if you love yourself, you are attractive to others. Now, your receptiveness towards yourself prepares you to give yourself totally to somebody else. You've got to love yourself for all of what you are, your light and your dark. We all have light and dark. You need to love yourself because if you don't love yourself, you don't know what the price of love is. You don't know what its value is. So you don't know what the value is that you're offering to somebody else, and you can't assess the value of something that somebody is offering to you. But this is talking about a deep emotional exchange that's being possible here, and the giving and receiving of overflowing love. I also get the sense here of, for those people who are open to it or up for it, the start of a new relationship that could become very deep, blossoming into a committed union of the heart. Now, there's a strong physical attraction here. you're going to have a physical attraction to somebody else, and you are going to be very sexually attractive yourself. Now, this also symbolizes understanding and healing, but there's passion here. It doesn't just have to be romantic, by the way. This can be also for friendships, can be workplaces. This is a very good card for people who are in sales, for example, where you see what the need of the person is and then fulfill it. This activates the physical magnetic force of attraction. Now, the key to this energy is to be open to love and the passion it offers. The gift of this energy simply is bliss. So because this has turned up, and because it's turned up in the center here, this can symbolize the start of a love affair, a partnership, or a friendship. Now, if you're already in a relationship, it represents a deeper level of love, evolving with a stronger spiritual union as well. Now, in business enterprises, it symbolizes a partnership of like-minded people sharing ideas and talents. It signals a developing friendship that is supportive and refreshing. Now, there could well be a marriage around here as well, and it also brings about reconciliations or truces to conflicts, the settling of arguments. It reminds you that compromise can bring new realizations and agreement. And it also asks you to learn to forgive. We spoke about that. The Two of Cups gift of love is healing to the heart, the body, and the spirit. Well, what a fantastic set of cards for you, and you did a great job. Well done. I've got to say, I loved spending that time with you. I really did, and what a great month it looks like it's going to be for you. A few ups, a few downs, but very much on the positive side altogether, I think. That's what's going on with you, and don't you deserve it? I think you do. It really is time for you to have some good times, aren't it? Now look, if you did enjoy the reading, would you do me this favor, and it's all I ask, that on the way out, please hit the like button, or do it now if you would. It's good for the computer or YouTube, whatever it may be. And unless you contact me privately, I'll see you again next month. And until then, remember one thing though, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.